various locations via the miracle of Skype, it's the 40th anniversary season of the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
Welcome to LTN. Here on Easter Sunday. How come you people aren't in church? Todd Bailing in rainy Phoenix, Arizona, joined by my three partners, starting with Brian Schmidt, who's in beautiful downtown Utzberg, Wisconsin. Hi, Brian.
Yeah, it's not real beautiful. It's only like 39 degrees. But, yeah, happy Easter, everyone. And we're going to have a race for the second year in a row on Easter Sunday. But not till later tonight.
Yeah, a little later. PJ Noodleman of Trempealeau, Wisconsin. Hi, PJ.
Hi there. Cloudy and 40 on this side of the state. But happy Easter to everybody.
And our own producer, director, Dangerous Dan Margetta from St. Francis, Wisconsin.
Yeah, good morning. I'm actually up in Lac de Flambeau today at the Lake of the Torches Resort. Came up here for Easter, so it's cloudy and 36 up here.
There's a church there you went to?
Oh yeah, Church
of the Gambling Gods. Apparently, that's good.
I've made kind of mad. I haven't really won this time, so we'll see.
Well, it's not over yet. Richmond, I love Richmond, and I've never been there. In fact, I did go to the track, but I never got in. It was part of our trip around America I made with Marge when we retired a few years ago and stopped at the Richmond track and, tried to look in and, of course, couldn't see anything. I did notice that it's it's a state fairgrounds is what it is, and it's the, capital of the Confederacy and all that sort of thing. But boy, I'd like to see a race there live someday. It's kind of on my bucket list. That and Miami Homestead would be fantastic too. But as Brian intimated, the green flag will fall for the Richmond race tonight at 6:15 Milwaukee time. They're going to probably not have an issue. Highs will be in the 60s. There is a 30% chance of some rain tonight. So the last thing they really want to do is mess it up with rain delays. But it seems to be a theme this year with all the rain we've had all over the place. Kyle Larson will start on the pole, 120.332 miles per hour. It's a 3/4 mile track. Stages will be at laps 70 and 230 of the 400-mile race. And apparently I had my head buried in the sand, and that does happen to me once in a while. And I was just amazed and confused that there were no green, white. Well, we didn't have those checkered things. I thought road courses, they just didn't stop because it was so bad for road course racing to have those terribly long, stupid points cautions for stages. But if they didn't have those last week at COTA in Austin, we might not have had any cautions. In fact, we wouldn't have had any. And William Byron went on to win his second race this year. Can somebody tell me why it is we went away from that plan that we start?
Because Indianapolis last year went green to checker without a single caution, and it was a snoozer. So right after that race, they said, yeah, this experiment isn't working. I don't know if you remember the last race we had at Road America. The only cautions we had were because of the stage breaks as well. And I guess they didn't like that fact, and they reverted back to the other way so that you could have some restarts and you could have some mixing it up. But I don't think that's the real issue here. I still go back to the fact that I think it's the car. That car that they created is so perfect for road course racing, and these cars are so equal. And you kind of, the way they handle on the road course so well, it took a lot of the chances for the drivers to screw up out of it. And now you have the races that you have there. I mean, look at the truck and the Xfinity races on the road course. Those are really good. And this one was not. So until they find a way to get those cars somewhat back to the way the old stock car was so that these guys can have an easier chance of screwing up, I think this is what you're going to see on the road courses, unfortunately.
more and more and more and more technology and trying to equalize everything. And, be careful what you wish for, because, as they have increased road course racing over the years, they've also, by bringing us this car, made it more of a snoozer event. It's kind of nice that we had a surprise winner and a hell of a race in the rain-affected Chicago race last year. But, it isn't exactly what NASCAR wanted for their new car, is for these snoozers. And now we're going to a short track where they're shifting again, even on a short track. We got to get this package figured out, because even the Fox announcers were complaining about all the shifting going on, guys. It's a pretty interesting set of circumstances, isn't it?
Yeah, during the practice yesterday, Clint Boyer, I was watching some of it because it was terrible weather here. So, no, it's not that I don't have a life. I was just watching it I think it was 9 o'clock yesterday morning. And they went to an in-car camera and they showed the guys shifting. And Clint Boyer just out of the blue says, we really got to get shifting out of short track racing, because that's not what short track racing is all about. And he kind of went on a little spiel about how when you're shifting, if you miss a corner and you screw it up, you can downshift and then upshift again to kind of help yourself out of it. You don't lose so much time. Whereas in the Xfinity car and the truck and the modifieds that ran Friday night, if you miss a corner, as you saw with Bubba Pollard when he qualified his Xfinity car yesterday, you really lose a lot of time. And you have to get yourself back down, and you lose all your RPM, and you can't make up for it real quickly. And as Clint said, passing comes when people screw up. That's where you're going to see most of your passing. And when you decrease the amount of times for guys to screw up, you're going to decrease the amount of passes you have. And I think that's kind of where we are with this car right now. As long as they allow these guys to constantly shift on these short tracks, you're not going to have as much passing, because you just don't have the screw ups.
The question remains, will horsepower solve that problem?
We don't know, because we haven't tried it.
They have different transmissions now, right? I mean, I don't know all the technical stuff that much, but I thought we switched to sequential transmissions with this new car.
Yes, we do.
So, is that easier to shift? Is that, why they're doing it?
And you have 6 gears instead of, your normal 5-speed transmission. So they have 6 gears to play with, just like you always. For years, IndyCar has done it. In Milwaukee Mile back in the day, you always saw the IndyCars sometimes shifting 3 times in 3 different gears on a lap there, and that's why the passing sometimes is difficult. But yeah, with a 6-speed sequential gearbox, you have those extra 2 gears there. One guy qualified and never shifted, and it was Bubba Wallace, and he had a pretty decent lap, but everybody else was shifting on all their laps.
Interesting. They've got an issue. They got to constantly worry about their product. And, they thought that they had a lot of things solved with this new car. Some things are solved. Is it saving them money yet? That was the number one thing on the list, wasn't it? I don't think they have saved themselves anything by doing this. Either way. So a couple of Chevrolets on the front row with Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. Boy, oh boy. Chase is too good as an ex-champion, and he's in too good of a situation driving for Rick Hendrick where he's not producing. And, he's not the only one over there that's not producing. Bowman isn't doing anything either. So are you kidding me? Half of Hendrick is not getting the job done. Is it just a matter of time, or are we happy to finish 8th?
No, I think he needs to step up. Just everything. The sport needs him to step up, too. If he's got that kind of a popularity deal going on, we can't be just floundering around running, 15th. I think today may be a day to do it. He finally put the car in the front row. It's been, ever since he got hurt, he seems to be a little bit off. You always expected him last year he's going to get a win and do something, and nothing really came ever since he came back from his injury.
And he's he recognized that himself, and he's kind of assured everyone that physically he's fine. I wonder if mentally he's okay after all of that. I'm looking for reasons. You can't tell me that the equipment is any different or worse than what Kyle Larson or Byron is driving, and they're winning.
Sometimes you overthink it too. If things don't go right, you kind of get in that lull where you kind of overthink things and you kind of make it worse instead of just getting back, getting loose, and doing what you know what you're doing.
This Easter edition of LTN will return after these.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com. Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Left circle, LaRue. LaRue will shoot off the post and in! The Milwaukee Admirals begin a 3-game road trip Tuesday night when they travel to Rockford to take on the Ice Hogs. By the defender, a wraparound attempt, he will score! 3-game coverage at 6:30, face-off at 7 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app. To the front of the goal, tip scored!
Welcome back to LTN. If you'd like to participate in the program, the number to call is 414-421-7901. And at all times, those lines are open for you if you have a subject you'd like to discuss. Bob out in Sun Prairie, who is not a first-time caller, but a longtime friend of the program. Bob, welcome to the program, and happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter, everybody. And I'm going to take a page out of Eddie's book as far as opening the coloring book up with Chase Elliott. He hasn't quite been right since he had that little girl issue back last spring where he got that celebrity was at the track and they took all those pictures, and story goes that he and his girlfriend wasn't too pleased about that. And then he made that statement recently on Junior's show that he isn't a fan of being out in the public now and intermingling too. So I'm wondering if it's more that's affecting him somewhat consciously with focusing on his job.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
It's kind of hard to, be a shrinking violet when you are a cup champion. You're one of the faces of the sport and being the most popular driver, and it's going to be that way, the way NASCAR voting goes for a long time. You have to embrace it rather than try to figure out how to just get along with it. And I think Junior was able to do it.
Right, the gymnast from LSU.
Olivia Duane or Dunn from LSU. Yes.
I wonder if that wasn't something set up through the NASCAR marketing people. Because she had a ton of Instagram followers and everything else, and you go, and he's the most popular driver. Go take a picture together and let's, bring your followers over to the sport. And he probably kind of got used that way.
I would agree wholeheartedly with that.
I think it's still more the car that's his problem.
No offense, PJ, but women can sometimes mess with guys' heads a little bit, too, in the background.
I know. Women are bitches. We are.
There's a famous video with Steve Perry that he did that, Oh, Sherry, was about his girlfriend. Well, then they did a Journey video with this girl, and she threw a fit, and the girl was just in the video that she was there. So I'm wondering if there's some dynamics going on in the background we're just not seeing, and it's carrying over.
Well, you might as well put it on the list because it seems, since we don't know, it's out there. I would say it had more to do with coming back after a pretty serious injury myself. But
well,
also,
have a good day, everybody.
The guy needs to embrace, this business of being the most popular driver. Bob, thank you for the call. We do appreciate it. Sometimes, guys don't. Tony Stewart would have been the worst, most popular driver there ever could have been. He just didn't like people in his face, and he would push people out of the way. And who could blame him? That gets old real fast. But some people embrace it more than others. Junior, for his years, never had any negative fan reaction that I can think of, which it's still good today. The guy's just as popular as he ever was. He just doesn't drive anymore, right, Dan?
I think the most popular driver thing is great when you're running good. It's kind of a pain when you're not. That's kind of, it's an added distraction, that you're trying to get things back on track. And Junior kind of had that. Nobody ever look at ask how many crew chiefs he went through. Remember? I mean, when he wasn't running good, it was never his fault. It was always a crew chief's fault. And it was like, well, it's kind of a combination here.
Well, and both Junior and Chase had the burden of being the son of a famous, well-liked driver. I mean, that's a tough shadow to grow up in.
Interesting. No doubt about it. Well, we got to keep our eye on that whole Chase comeback, and today might be the perfect day for them. Hey, this week, and Brian, I had to think of you immediately when I heard this come out, because it must have been a month ago. You mentioned when we were talking about different possible places for NASCAR to race in Southern California. Now that we think they're all done at the Coliseum, you brought up Long Beach and immediately said the same thing that what has turned out to happen this week, that IndyCar is not good at sharing one of their premier events. And it turns out, and you guys kind of explained it to me this morning. I don't really know all these names. Gerald Forsyth and Kevin Kalkoven each had a 50% stake in the Long Beach race. And apparently they also owned IndyCar. Did I just not watch IndyCar that much?
Part of the cart. They owned a team in cart originally. It was the players' car, right, Brian?
Yeah, didn't like Paul Tracy drove for them, and
Allmendinger.
Yeah, Greg Moore, who passed away that time. Yeah, they had a lot of good drivers with that team.
Well, Kalkoven of the two passed away, and his 50% stake in the Long Beach race apparently was not spoken for or purchased by anyone. And NASCAR, I don't know how they find these things out. They've got those silk-suited lawyers, Well, they were apparently, the rumor jumped out that they wanted to buy Kalkoven's 50% stake in the Long Beach event, which Gerald Forsyth then saw the story, I guess, and went out and said, wow, we can't have that, and purchased that other stake. So Forsyth now owns the entire Long Beach event. What is it called? Franchise, I guess?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I mean, this is a story that kind of started and ended in a matter of 2 days, I think. And I'm kind of a purist, so I'm okay with this because, IndyCar is kind of getting themselves back going again. They had some down times. They got a full fields. They got some little momentum going now, and this is their biggest race of the year outside of the Indy 500. I mean, they get over 100,000 people there for the 3-day event down in Long Beach, and it's been a tradition forever since they took over from Formula One back in the 80s. So, I mean, they've been there since 1984, IndyCar. So to see NASCAR come in just because, they made some business decisions on the other side of L.A. and sold off their track, which was a great track, and now don't have the money to build a new track, to come in and say, I think we want part of that. It was like, nah, I don't like it. And I'm happy to see Forsyth come in there and kind of just squash it there and say, no, I'm buying this. And he came out and said, anybody that thinks this is going to be anything other than an IndyCar race, think otherwise and go look elsewhere. This is our race.
And Penske, the rumor was Penske didn't like it either.
Oh,
right?
No, he didn't. No, Penske owns IndyCar, and even though he owns a Cup team, he still looks. Penske always looks after the betterment of all the sports. He's a big picture guy, and he can see that, hey, this is going to really hurt IndyCar. Even though my Cup teams may prosper from it. So, I'm okay with this. NASCAR, go find something else. You got a beautiful oval sitting in Irwindale that we pounded forever, would be a great place to race, but that's not what they think. So,
what was interesting though is that 50% was out there and nobody knew it was apparently for sale. I mean, until the story came out. I mean, you think that the other guy would have said, "Hey, I'll take your half," before NASCAR came calling.
there's other factors. We'll talk about that and anything else that may creep into the conversation after these messages.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit BonafideSafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
It's a bird. It's a plane.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick. Yeah!
I think Philadelphia would be the ideal place for Justin Fields because is Jalen Hurts going to stay healthy? That team is ready to go. I mean, they went out. The Eagles have made some moves. You don't want to have all of this talent and then you don't have your quarterback there. And Justin Fields doesn't cost you anything.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to LTN on Easter Sunday. NASCAR needs to be in Southern California. At least that has always been their attitude, whether it was Ontario or Riverside and Fontana. They built their own track. Actually, they didn't build it, of all people. Penske built that track in Fontana and ended up selling it to NASCAR. Now, this week it came out that NASCAR sold a bunch of the property because the way the story went, they wanted to build a short track there. They didn't need all that property, so they sold it. And apparently whoever bought it got financing for over $750 million to develop that what's left of the property there, which – boy, I'm really confused. What are you going to build there for $750 million? But why are we dragging our feet? If we sold that land, don't tell me we don't have the money. They said, it's so expensive to build right now. Yes. So what we're doing is we're going around trying to shake everybody down, trying to figure out where we can do a temporary race in what we have always considered to be one of the most important markets to NASCAR. Something isn't adding up. Why aren't they getting off their high horse and building the new Fontana? It can't be that damn difficult to do. Give it another year, and we don't have to make a long-term agreement with the Coliseum, it seems to me, right?
Don't forget we probably lost money on the Coliseum, putting a track in there and everything on there. We probably lost money on the street race in Chicago. I mean, they kind of were doing things like that really weren't. The Chicago street race was a win. Not financially, but otherwise it was. But I bet it cost them a ton of money the last couple of years. So, I mean, they probably can't build a new track.
And don't forget the permitting processes in California to do stuff like this. That's stuff we don't hear about. We don't know what's going on in behind public meetings and stuff. I mean, once you take a racetrack away, it's hard to bring it back.
It is an industrial area. And if I remember right, and I'm pretty sure that the story was when Penske had purchased that land, it was kind of a landfill or something, wasn't it? And it did take a while for them to work around the EPA to get that thing built. But, it is a racetrack. All they're doing is reconfiguring it, right? So
we think so. I mean, we don't know what went on in board meetings in that particular, in the city of Fontana or any of those type of things. We don't really know what's going on. and we don't know what their financial status is either. And who knows? Maybe NASCAR had their eyes on Long Beach, thinking, "Yeah, I think we're going to be able to secure that. And if we're able to secure Long Beach, well, then we don't need the short track over there." So, and now that the Long Beach thing.
True. They continue to say, though, that it is their intention to build a track there. But right now, it's just a little too expensive to begin our construction. Really?
It ain't going to get any cheaper.
No, and I'll go back to what I heard probably about a month ago on Sirius XM when Larry Mack goes, "Until someone proves me otherwise, I don't see a track being built at Fontana because of this and, because of how long this has taken and that they're not coming out and saying it." And that's somebody going on a station that NASCAR has, power to and voicing and saying that. I don't think he'd say that if he thought it was going to happen.
Larry Mack says some things on radio that he doesn't say on television, and it is interesting to listen to some of those revelations he comes up with, and it's recommended listening for sure. So we are back to square one. We're going to drag our feet on redoing the Fontana track, and we're going to keep looking, even though that little splash with Long Beach has come and gone already. Brian, there's not that many. I mean, Dodger Stadium was what they came up with a couple of weeks ago, through the parking lot and then through part of the state. Is that really what you think is going to be a good idea? And then think about this too. The baseball season in LA, I mean, it's always nice there. There's always something going on at that stadium, it seems to me. And you're gonna put up and take down a track in the off season from baseball, and then that wasn't one of the better plans as far as I'm concerned. PJ, there are other tracks out there.
Well, Bakersfield is out there, and Kevin Harvick has a stake in that. I've been out there before. It's a fine track, but I don't know if there's enough money-grubbing fingers in there to make it worth NASCAR.
Yeah, and they're really kind of tied on their times because they really want this to be a West Coast swing. And this year you didn't have it with only the 2 races, and their big push is they want to have a West Coast swing. So you're really kind of shoehorned into that late last week of February, in the first 2 or 3 weeks of March to try to fit a date in there. And that's why I don't know. I really don't know. I just next year if I were to procrastinate or prognosticate and see what next year's going to be, I think next year's going to look like this year. I don't think you're going to see a race in that area, and you're not going to have the Coliseum. I don't see this Dodger Stadium thing being put together quick enough. Obviously the Long Beach thing is off the table. I don't see them caving in and going and running a race at Irwindale simply because you don't have a lot of seating there. It's small. There's gravel pits all around it. It'd be hard to get a lot of people in and out of there. Bakersfield, is that close enough to the LA market for them to want to race there? I mean, it's a beautiful track. You could put all the seating you want around there. I don't know how that fits into their tie. I don't know.
Laguna Seca, which is up north. I mean, that's kind of far away too.
Yeah, that's really far. That's like 3 hours from LA. That's that's not that far from Sonoma. So,
PJ, is that Bakersfield track? Is that the same one as Kern County?
It is Kern County. Yeah.
Okay. And they've put on some pretty big events. I'm remembering.
The Winter Showdown has been there.
I won $32,000 in that short track, didn't they? A couple years ago, 2 years ago. Yeah. What's the seating capacity like there? Not that really is a big determining factor.
I personally don't know that off the top of my head, but like I said, Kevin Harvick has an ownership stake in that track now too, so that could perhaps open some doors.
To do with it. Interesting. Aaron just told us Bakersfield is 120 miles from LA, roughly 2 hours. Yeah, and that's with no traffic. I'm thinking they want to be closer to the LA area than Bakersfield.
And just to put the Long Beach thing to bed as to why, because some people are going to say, well, you ran IndyCar and Cup Series together at Indianapolis for a couple of years. Why wouldn't it work? Well, first of all, Long Beach, they got a full roster already of events there. They run GT America. They run part of the IMSA series, historic IndyCars, and the IndyCar series itself there. Plus, when we were racing at Indianapolis, that was when NBC was covering both series at that time. Move to spring here now. You have Fox, you have NBC together. That doesn't work. That's oil and water. So you're not going to be able to have that together. Plus, if you're to bring the Cup Series there, obviously they're going to take center stage because they're new, and IndyCar is kind of going to just be second fiddle. and IndyCar doesn't want to play second fiddle there. Crowds are going to remain the same whether you have IndyCar there or you have Cup Series. It is what it is. It's full every year. So that's pretty much why this was kind of a no deal for the IndyCar purists.
We're going to sneak away for a break. We're glad you're listening, and we'll be back right after these.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Check this out. This is The Herd.
You're excited. I'm excited.
With Colin Cowherd.
Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta. Not a big surprise. Now everybody today.
Talk about a ceiling.
Do you know the number one selling ice cream in America? It's vanilla. The bottom line is, you know what you're getting with Kirk Cousins. A committed adult. Low turnovers. High accuracy.
This is The Herd.
Weekdays 3 to 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
The Xfinity series ran yesterday at Richmond, and it had some interesting stories in it. For one, Parker Retzlaff of Rhinelander, Wisconsin, won the first pole of his career and had a pretty decent run in the race. Finished down a little bit. Where'd you say he finished, Brian? Like sixth? No, not sixth.
16th. He was one of those teams that had a set of tires sitting in his pit area waiting for a late caution.
All right. Chandler Smith won the thing. Sam Mayer had issues. Did that happen on the track or in the pits when he had the tire issue? It looked like
I can't remember exactly what.
Knocked a fender onto the tire or something like that.
Yeah, I saw it on the track going around with the tire gun. I'm not sure what. Yeah. I think it might happen on the racetrack though.
It's also fun watching the progression of this Shane Van Gisbergen. This guy's amazing, and I'm really enjoying watching his progression. But to me and to many short trackers in this country, yesterday's story was all about Bubba Pollard, who had a pretty good car, came out and was fastest in practice, but laid an egg in qualifying and started in the back and worked his way all the way up to sixth. He was the highest finishing junior motorsports car. And, there was a lot of people that were pretty damn happy to see him have a good run on his first time. And he gets out of the car and says, with some sponsorship, we could maybe do this. And he's kind of like looking for sponsors. I know what you're all thinking. Well, what about Rheem? That was on the car yesterday. We did a little figuring out about that whole thing. Brandon Jones is the driver, one of Junior's other drivers, and he's the one whose family brings Rheem to Junior. And when Brandon Jones started his racing career, the Pollard family helped out quite a bit, and they became pretty good friends. And Bubba's first cousin, Philip Bell, is Brandon Jones' crew chief in the Xfinity series. So you can see there was a little bit of reaming going on there, and that led to Bubba's ride. Now, it doesn't look like it's going to be a long-term thing, but all of a sudden, a 37-year-old with a first time in an Xfinity car goes out and does a pretty damn good job, as to the surprise of nobody, actually.
And what a win, anyway, for the fans to be able to see somebody who is beloved in the short track scene actually get a shot on the big stage, so to speak. And he's a regular guy, man. He's got a beer belly, and he's just a regular Joe, man. It's a good win for the fans.
Oh yeah, all the way around, and it was a very, very exciting to see him come out and do so good. So, but other than that, between Retzlaff, Sam Mayer, and as far as Wisconsin ties, there isn't a lot going on there. Bubba races pretty extensively in Wisconsin, so that's brings one thing. But
Josh Bilicki took his car, started 29th, and finished 19th with it with an underfunded team. So that was a pretty good story
and
there.
And had a pretty good run. He was running in the top 10 several times, wasn't he?
Yes. Yeah, and that race had interesting dynamics to it because the cars, a lot of the cars that were running up front, Justin Allgaier and Cole Custer, those guys were in the front, but when that caution came out with, I believe it was around 75 to go, the decision had to be made. I think they only had like 25 laps on their tires, whether to take new tires or not, and most of the field did. There's a handful of guys that did not because you only had 3 sets for the whole race, looking at, all right, if we get a late caution, we're going to have this set of tires we're going to put on, we're going to blow through the field. Cole Custer had a tire go down with about 25 to go, went in the pits, changed 4 tires, came back out, was 2 laps down. He was about to pass Chandler Smith to go back onto the lead lap. Now, he did that in 25 laps. I mean, you're talking 2.5 seconds about of speed with the fresher tires on there. So, had a caution came out late, Allgaier would have been right there. Allmendinger had a set of tires sitting there. Shane Van Gisbergen had a set of tires sitting there. So that kind of what helped move those guys back and forth there, what made it a very interesting race.
And it definitely turned out.
And Parker did too. So Parker Retzlaff was a top 10 car basically all day, and he had that set there as well. So really, if you would have got a caution with maybe 20 to go, it really would have been interesting to see where everybody would have filtered out with the fresh tires.
And I guess Sam had his problems on pit road. The Taylor Gray, the 19 car, hit him coming off the pits. That's what caused his issues.
Ah, okay.
That was Taylor's debut as well.
Right. Now
third.
But think about that Bubba Pollard deal. That's the way it used to be, right? I mean, you used to have guys that would run your local track or run in a regional series, develop a fan base, get a shot at the big time in NASCAR, and they bring them all with them. I mean, a guy would have a car and say, you know what, if I put this guy in our car, we can maybe do something and attract a sponsor. It's totally different now. Now it's like, what could you pay me to get down there? I liked seeing the old way of doing it this happen, and the old school way, kind of way it went. And I think it was a success, and it brought new eyes to the sport to watch it because this guy's got a fan base.
And hats off to Junior for doing it.
And I'd like to see the ratings too. I bet it was up for this Xfinity race.
Hey, speaking of ratings, COTA last week, ratings were up yet again. They've been up across the board this year, which is nothing but good news for our sport, too. We'll have to see how this goes tonight. This is an Easter night thing, and it's not unheard of. A year ago, they raced on the dirt on Sunday, Easter night. At Bristol. So, we'll watch. I like the fact that the ratings continue to go in that upward direction, though. That's what we really like to see.
And the Final Four will be completed at about the time of start. The last basketball game tips off at about 4 o'clock, so that should be over at about 6, right when this race starts. So they won't have to compete with that.
Perfect. It's a couple of news items here as we're headed for break. Iowa race. You were thinking of purchasing tickets for that Iowa race because it's not that far away. Well, the Cup race and the Xfinity race are already sold out. And I thought, wow, that's really great. Brian reminded me something, though.
Yeah, Iowa only holds 30,000. In fact, it's smaller than the Milwaukee Mile. So when you drive by the Milwaukee Mile and you see the grandstand there, Milwaukee right now currently has about seating for 37,000. Iowa's only at 30. And they're not adding seats like they did for the first couple of Xfinity races. And I don't know if they're putting those big, elaborate pavilions like they do for the IndyCar race on either side. I haven't heard anything about that either. But they're going to make it a tough ticket and sell it at 30,000. And I guess I'm okay with that. That opens up smaller venues to NASCAR by doing that.
There's a mentality that goes with that. I'm not totally a fan of that mentality, but it's the same thing about this brand new stadium they're going to build in Las Vegas for the A's, and that is they're going to keep the seating in the 30,000 range to increase the prices or something. Is that really the best way to go? To me, if you're going to build a stadium, why would you make it purposely small? That's a little different.
Coziness. They like coziness.
Coziness. There you go. There's lots going on in the world of racing. We'll tell you a little more about it when we come back.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
This, keep it on the down low here,
is the Dan Patrick Show.
We're finding that quarterbacks and what they do off the field may be as valuable as what they do on the field. Patrick Mahomes is following that blueprint. He decided that he was going to free up over $20 million in cap space this offseason. Mahomes is competing with Tom Brady, and now you want to see if you can get to 7 Super Bowls.
Dan Patrick.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Weekday mornings 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
And now the LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
Pretty significant list of dirt racing here for Easter weekend as we look across the country. We'll start Thursday in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, the Creek County Speedway for the Turnpike Challenge, night number 1 for the Power Eye Midgets.
Tulsa
Blake
area.
Hahn. What's that?
That's the Tulsa area.
Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah. Well, then the next night they moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Port City Raceway, night 2 of the Turnpike Challenge for the midgets. Tanner Thorson got the win. Also Friday night in Maquoketa, Iowa, the inaugural Nippy 50 for the super late models. $10,000 a win. Bobby Pierce got the win. The modifieds are also there. Spencer Dirk got the win. Paragon, Indiana, the No Way Out 40 for the non-wing 410 sprints. C.J. Leary. Georgetown, Delaware, $5,000 a win for the super late models. Ross Robinson got the win. $3,000 for the big block modifieds. That went to Ryan Godown. Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, Friday night, the Williams Grove Speedway for the 410 sprint cars. Anthony Macri, the Concrete Kid, grabbed the victory. Clarksville, Tennessee, the rain-delayed 20th annual Tuckasee Toilet Bowl Classic. Night number 1. That's Todd's favorite event in all of super late model racing. Ashton Winger got the win on night number 1. In Sweetwater, Tennessee, Friday night at the I-75 Speedway for the Schaefer Orioles Southern Nationals, $10,053 to win. Brandon Overton with a last lap pass of Dale McDowell to grab that one. That was an outstanding race. I watched the end of that one. Last night, Tulsa, Oklahoma, night number 3 for the Turnpike Challenge for the Power Eye Midgets. Ashton Torgeson got his first career win. New Egypt, New Jersey for the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modified Power in the Pine 75, $7,500 to win. Anthony Perego got the win. Clarksville, Tennessee, the final night of the Tuckasee Toilet Bowl Classic. Max Blair got the win, and he got that nice big porcelain toilet trophy that he gets to take back to the shop and set in the bathroom, I would assume. Maquoketa, Iowa, the final night of the Nippy 50, $20,000 to win. Ricky Thornton Jr., we haven't said his name in a while. He's been on a slight drought, but he picked the win when he raced, and Bobby Pierce was there as well. He beat him. Bobby Pierce finished 4th, actually. So congratulations, Ricky Thornton Jr. on the win. The modifieds went to Dylan Thornton. That is no relation to Ricky. Dylan Thornton is from California. Ricky is from Arizona. Tazewell, Tennessee, the Southern Nationals for the super late models, another $10,053 to win. This time, Dale McDowell got the win. He did not allow Brandon Overton to get by him. Scott Bloomquist was also in that race. We have not seen him in a while. He finished 5th, So maybe we'll see a bloomer sighting as we go around the season here this summer. And finally, in Park City, Kansas, the 81 Speedway for the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series, Rico Abreu grabbed the win there. Phil Baylog was scheduled to start 10th, had a really good heat race, and as they were getting ready to do the 4-wide, he pulled into the infield, and they said he had a valve go down on his motor. So unfortunately for Bill, he did not even get to start the feature. Scotty Thiel was also there. He finished 7th in the B main and not transfer. There were 41 cars there last night at that one. And that is everything for this week.
On the asphalt. Go ahead, Todd.
No, I was just going to say, I remember once when I was announcing at Madison, there was some sort of plumbing outfit that sponsored a race, and they gave a toilet bowl. And I can still picture Dave Filer, who won the race, sitting on the toilet on the start-finish line. It was beautiful. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Paige.
I think I was there. Last Sunday, the ASA Stars Tour ran at Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola. Winner was Cole Butcher. Notable, Stephen Nasse was second. Bubba Pollard had some difficulties, finished 17th. Caden Quapple, 24th. And Austin Nason, our sole Midwesterner representation, had some challenges and ended up finishing 26th. Yesterday, the Smart Modified race at Tri-County Speedway, Ryan Newman was your winner. And then Friday night, the NASCAR Wheel and Modifieds ran at Richmond. Your winner was Justin Bonsignor, and he held off Ronnie Silk for that win. And that's that.
It doesn't seem like much, but, there's always more on the way, so we'll just keep a close eye on it. A few tidbits from around racing that you may be interested in. It was a big deal when DoorDash came in to sponsor Bubba. They are gone as of the end of this season, apparently. It's part of the post-COVID reality, That was a big deal when we could get everything delivered to our house so we wouldn't go out because it was so dangerous to go out of the house. And so, an outfit that specialized in bringing fast food to your door is going out of business, or at least doesn't have the money to give to 2311 Racing. Too bad for them, but it's reality, baby. And I also noted, did I remember even that they were going to repave Sonoma? I don't remember us even reporting that, but it did get repaved, and they did a tire test this week, and they were 2.5 seconds faster than the track record, which we shouldn't be surprised when we hear things like that. That's what happens with fresh repaves, with new technology, outstanding tires, and all that sort of thing. So also interesting to keep an eye on. Hamlin has said recently that this is interesting. He talks a lot, Sometimes it gets him into trouble, and it's kind of humorous. But he eventually wants to drive for his own team. Dan, you had a pretty good observation when it came to that sort of thing, didn't you?
Well, first of all, he's got a stake in it, so why wouldn't you? But then look at the history at Joe Gibbs Racing. A lot of guys eventually get moved aside. Matt Kenseth got moved aside. Kyle Busch kind of got moved aside. The sponsor went away. If FedEx ever decides to not back him, I think Denny's on a hot seat. He's going to find somewhere to go. What better place to go than his own team? And he said his own team is kind of at the point now where it's equal or better to what he's got.
Yeah, he was worried about it at first, he said, because he didn't think they were at that level. But, hiring, you continue to hire the right people, and this sort of thing is going to happen. And to me, the best hire they made there was that kid in that 45 car. He's just amazing. It's going to be... today, he's going to win his first race, and it's going to be at Richmond. And we'll talk about my other 3 teammates' picks after we sneak away for a break here on the Easter edition of LTN. We're glad you're tuned in, and we'll be back right after these.
From From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company in the heart of Wisconsin is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com. Spring is in the air, and PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need, with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to Enviro mulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years, PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
This is Two Pros and a Cup of Joe.
We're getting back into it. Tiki Barber, former NFL running back, longtime New York Giant. He was on WFAN, and, well, this is how it played out.
He's dead to us. Because he won't say it.
You're dead to us, Saquon.
Good luck putting it in context. Giants don't like Philly. That's their biggest rival.
Two Pros, LeVar Arrington, Brady Quinn, and a Cup of Joe, Jonas Knox.
Weekday mornings 5 to 8 a.m. on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
This particular LTN podcast is available on iHeart, iTunes, and all major platforms. And if you have not yet seen PJ's outstanding program, Racing Nuggets, PJ, tell them where it's available and who you got on.
It's available either on YouTube or wherever you download your podcasts. And these 2 weeks we have Dick Johnson. He has been integral. He was kind of like Larry Weirs' right-hand man with the years of La Crosse Speedway and Dells Raceway Park now. But he's just a heck of a guy, got a lot of talent. Used to do race directing and all that. So you can watch that episode. And then Bubba Pollard is on the horizon to be the next guest.
Oh, that's going to be a good one. Be sure to bring up to him how he has been viewed as like a Dick Trickle type, winning wherever he goes and making friends wherever he goes. But the story of Trickle is a little bit different. But it'll be interesting to hear how he takes that information and
I think he would take that in stride and be honored. He's familiar with Dick Trickle, and I think he has mad respect for racers of the old that used to run up here in the Midwest.
Even to hear his name mentioned along with him, it's pretty neat. Mm-hmm. Dan, there's some pretty important dates on the horizon here for local racing, and they're coming in a hurry.
Yeah, we're going to kick it off on April 13th at the Dells with the Icebreaker for the Super Lights. I think they have like 30 signed up for that already. The Midwest Trucks are there. They just announced their entry list. It has, I think, close to 30 in that as well. And the Outlaw 602 cars have like 25 of them. So it's a big field of cars for the Dells on the 13th. Slinger opens up on April 21st. It's the Midwest Tour season opener as well. The Jerry Prischke Memorial, it was 1 year ago on March 27th when we lost Jerry in an auto wreck. So they named the event for him. It's pretty cool for that. But the Midwest Tour also increased purses for mid-pack finishes at several events, including Slinger. I mean, 6th place is now going to pay $1,000. 16th is going to pay $800. So that's good to get the car counts up. I think we'll have a strong field of cars for all events. It's going to be kind of neat to get going up here. We've been kind of waiting all winter to get back to the racetrack, and it's right around the corner.
Dirt racing starts already this coming weekend at Beaver Dam with the Frostbusters for the IMCA cars. So if you're itching to see some racing Friday and Saturday night, you're going to see we'll have our first Wisconsin results, hopefully weather permitting, next week.
Last week, after this program ended, we suddenly realized we never made our picks on the air. So we did it during the Hangover show, and PJ got it right. The rest of us are crappy as usual. But PJ, I think, isn't that the second in a row you've picked correctly?
No, I had the week before. Come on now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the second one I've had this year. But
as a team there, we got two.
got three. We got a total of 3 now.
We get 10% of the field every week. You'd think we'd hit it once in a while. I've already mentioned, I think Tyler Reddick is the man today. Let's go to Dan and see what he's got up his sleeve. Daniel?
I'm going to go with the 19 car, Martin Truex Jr.
Okay, Brian?
This looks like another Danny Hamlin day. He's really good out there and those Toyotas at the end really seem to be doing well on the short track. So I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin.
And Peach, take your pick of front row drivers. I got a feeling that's what's coming.
I was going to go with Larson. I'd like to, but I'm going to go with somebody off in the distance that you might not think, and Toby would be proud, Chris Buescher.
It's pretty good. The guy,
He won there last fall.
Geez, how quickly we forget that. That whole program at Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing is getting better. And, Kez himself might be one of the candidates today. So that'll be fun to watch either way. That's tonight, 6:15 on Fox, Milwaukee time. Before the show, we were talking about a couple of things that were, out there that are their subjects, and perhaps we'll have to talk about this on another show. But, how long will it be before Austin Dillon gets up and says, I've decided to go into the race management end of NASCAR, because obviously his career winning one race every 2 years isn't exactly what I think the old man wants. And you've got a couple of guys in that series, in the Xfinity series, that are kind of, not looking all that bad in Austin Hill and Jesse Love. I think there's a tremendous upside in Jesse Love. Hill, not as much to me, but that's just me. I may be wrong about that, but how long would it be before, Austin Dillon gets out and says, you know what, I don't think this is really for me. It's out there. And speaking of guys that are, just not exactly running up to snuff, a colleague. That whole motorsports team, they came into the season with such great hopes. Brian, they just don't seem to be, doing
No, their Xfinity team is really struggling. It's not what you would expect out of them. They were a front-running, championship contending type team just a couple of years ago, and then lately it just isn't right. It just isn't there. And you hope to see them run up front.
Not just Xfinity, but their Cup team has been.
Yeah, their Cup team. That you kind of give them a little bit of grace because it's only their second full-time season being out there. They got some wins with AJ Allmendinger on the road courses, but yeah, they're just not as consistent as you'd like to see out of them, and hopefully they can get that turned around.
And that 1,000-pound gorilla in the corner is Stewart Haas. We love Tony Stewart for how he picks his drivers and goes in and tells Haas, let's not worry about the money. You have the money. These guys are good. They're going to win. Well, we haven't seen that. And, sooner
Today you got Chase Briscoe starting 32nd. You got Josh Berry starting 30th, for Stewart Haas.
Painful.
Where's the 10 cars? Noah's done. That's a pretty good run for him lately.
Speaking of Tony Stewart, I'm going to see him next weekend.
Ask him if he's got the wife knocked up yet.
Oh my God, I don't believe you said that. Okay, I'll ask him. PJ Noodleman wants to know.
That is your new most popular NHRA driver right there. So.
Oh yeah, and
it'll be fun to
he's
see
out here in Phoenix next weekend. So, thanks to Scott Hansen, I'm going to go and hang out with Tony Stewart. We'll see how that goes. Remember me? No, I don't. Okay, never mind. Thanks for tuning in, and we certainly hope everyone has a wonderful Easter. Enjoy. Real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. LTN is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our engineer is Matt Losey. For all of us, Happy Easter, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.